Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome in 17 and some change. I'm EQDES17 here to bring you my 2 cents on this Wednesday, on this hump day. Up to this point, we've been doing a series, a political series, that kind of highlights where our company stance is on various different topics. I kind of wanted to break that up a little bit today. Um, Typically, I wouldn't, but there's kind of been a topic that's been on my radar recently that I wanted to talk about a little bit here because it's been huge. I mean, at least on my feed, it's been huge, but I think more so like in general, a lot of a lot of people who aren't even gamers or who aren't associated with the gaming world in any way, shape, or form have heard about the GTA leaks from Cyberleek. This has been going on for the past 8 days, and as of right now, I he has yet to be caught. I don't think he's been caught. I haven't. I've been working today. I haven't. Um, I checked the news once. Uh, there's nothing. There's nothing. It doesn't seem like there's anything that's come out today, implying that he's been caught or anything like that. I know there were rumors recently that there were rumors a few days ago that he got caught, and then there were rumors yesterday that they're getting closer to catching him based on like Discord conversations and stuff like that. Um, but as of right now, nothing substantial has come from that. Um, and I've kind of made my stance on this topic relatively clear. Um, how do you feel about it is really the curious question. Um, some people, uh, I feel like more people are with this character than people who are against him. I feel like, and I'm more so on that side. I am totally against thievery. I don't like lying. I don't like cheating. I don't like stealing. And I say it ad nauseum. Um, but can you steal? Is stealing from a thief theft? And if purchasing, I think this is the phrase, if purchasing isn't ownership, then piracy isn't theft, right? And um, I know Sony as a whole has decided to go against to move away from physical discs. Um, I don't know if that was a precipice. I don't know if that would have happened with or without Rockstar's decision, but Rockstar was the Rockstar was the first um, major title to go in that direction, and they just won't listen, and they just don't care, and none of them listen, and none of them care. I know this GTA game seems to have a lot of detail in it. And you know that kind of goes against the idea that these companies are only driven by profit, though the attention to detail could merely be a result of being driven by profit. Like an attention to detail, just because EA Sports makes shitty games, um, and we use that as an example of why they don't care about the consumer, doesn't mean Rockstar cares about the consumer because they put in attention to detail in their games. Um, so Rockstar is not the worst as far as like anti-consumerism is concerned. I think EA is absolutely terrible, but Rockstar's decision to go disc less is whether or not the rest of the industry was going in that direction anyways. It's just inexcusable, right? I I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. People, I've heard some people say, "Oh, 80% of games that are bought are digital," and so the Cyberleek guy, if he is creating these leaks just to stand up for the consumer, then he's only standing up for the minority, and and that's fine. I mean, since when have minorities not been important? Minorities have, you know, I'm pretty sure most would agree that the minority, especially on the left, most would agree that the minority is duly important, right? The minority is super duper important, and even if it's only 20% sales going um, physical, it's still 20%, right? That's still millions of people who are affected by the disc less decision, not to mention, um, as it's been mentioned many times, the retail market, the secondhand market. Um, you know, Video game stores have already been struggling, right? And uh, we've been trying to hold the line for a while in terms of traditionalist and in terms of like physical media and stuff like that. And this would be the straw that broke the camel's back. It would turn, uh, it would turn physical media, physical video games into kind of a very niche um, pastime or old school thing, kind of like how there's vinyl record stores and stuff like that. But you wouldn't. They would be very far and few in between. Furthermore, the 80% number of digital sales versus physical copies is in part because a lot of games are only offered digitally, right? Rockstar Grand Theft Auto was the first super duper uh, superhero. I don't mean superhero literally, but it was the first super game that was only off that made that leap to digital only. And they have the audacity to offer a freaking case with a code in it. Like, That's an absolute smack in the face of the consumer, right? But yeah, it's so that 80% could be skewed, if physical discs were available for all games. And then there are some games that they come out with physical, but that's only limited, and then the rest are digital. So, I mean, you could realistically say it's a 70-30 more than an 80-20. But regardless, like I said, even if it was an 80-20, that 80% is still important, right? It's still millions of people. Um, so, I mean, at this point, there's been, I don't know, before, like when today started, it's been like 12 leaks, and I don't know. I've seen maybe three or four of them. Um, I think there are, I kind of oscillate on how I feel about them. Um, on the one hand, sometimes, like I go back and forth, that's oscillating. Sometimes I feel as though it's not much more. Like it's not much better than Grand Theft Auto 5 from what I'm looking at. I mean, I think the quality that we're getting uh, isn't the same quality that we're gonna get uh, in terms of uh, like crispness. I think it'll be a little bit more crisp when we actually like get it on the TV, and stuff like that, as opposed to off of Twitter, or X, I should say. Um, but I go back and forth between like, oh wow, like this really is gonna be like sick, like this really is gonna be nuts, and at other times I'm like, oh, it kind of just looks like GTA 5, but like a little tiny bit like it kind of looks like GTA 5 in a lot of ways, right? Um, Now I did say one time that the game would be worth it and would be successful, um, if it simply was GTA 5 repackaged, um, with a different story and a different location. And that's how good GTA 5 was as a game. I think it's a little bit better, maybe not 13 years better, but we've kind of reached the maximum as far as graphics are concerned for this gen. Maybe a PS6 version will be better. Um, but I doubt I'll be buying a PS6 anytime shortly after it's released or anything like that. I think it's gonna be like $3 billion. I'm being facetious, but it's gonna have some astronomical price tag on it. Um, but I think the one of the cool things about GTA 6 that's going to separate it from GTA 5, regardless of the enhancements in graphics or lack thereof, is the fact that the NPCs are going to be much more responsive. They're going to be a lot smarter. They're going to be more situationally aware. I think these are all good things. I think these are all things that add to the immersion of a game and to the overall experience as a gamer, as a player. Um, so I think having a female protagonist is something that is different, and I think that's gonna add a little bit of spice to the game. It's wild that they have naked people. Um, I don't think I'm pretty sure that's something that Rockstar really was upset about being leaked. I'm sure that's something that they were anticipating individuals run into themselves and be because that would have been a major shock, right? Um, I can't remember um, if other Grand Theft Autos had nudity. Um, I really can, and it's terrible because I've played plenty of hours of Grand Theft Auto 5. I've beaten Grand Theft Auto 5 multiple times, but I can't remember like if there were like boobs exposed and stuff like that. Let me see just for the record. Um, did GTA 5 have tits? No. Yeah. So I didn't think so. So that's really wild. You know, it's something that nobody really would have expected. Um, and I'm sure Rockstar would have been. That's something that Rockstar wanted people to discover organically and have that shock value to it. Um, I did not like the. I thought the explosion on the truck with the gas station leak. I thought that was a little bit ridiculous. Um, I mean, I get an explosion happening, but for it to happen that immediate after impact, I thought that was very video gamey. That wasn't very realistic. Also, the guy he glitched out while he was pouring the gas into the tub, and I'm hoping that this game isn't so uh, in depth that glitches become an issue. Um, that we see glitches all over the place. No, I wasn't there for the first release of Cyberpunk. I played it after all the patches and after the re-release and stuff like that. But I hear it was absolutely atrocious. I hear it was completely unplayable. And I just hope the depth of GTA 5 doesn't cause the game to have ridiculous amounts of glitches and stuff like that. Um, I don't know where they are in the developmental phase. Like, if now is a time that they're doing like their final patches and things of that nature. If that is the case, I'm sure none of this really helps much. You know, I heard one person, he was feeling sorry for the developers and he was uh, urging people not to go to Rockstar headquarters um, simply for to save the developers of the headache because they're under enough stress. It's really difficult to make a video game, and having it leaked before it's done is kind of a painful experience for them as it is. And I can understand that. I can kind of feel for the developers in that regards. But I can't feel for the parent company in that sense. Um, and really it all comes back down to these physical discs. So the Cyberleak individual, he wanted people to show up to Rockstar headquarters, dressed as a leak and holding physical copies. I think as of yesterday, it was only like one person who did that. He said if 10 people do it, he's going to he's gonna leak the prologue for the Lucia story. And I think as of yesterday, only one person has done that. Um, I'm checking now to see if any more have since then. You know, some people, yeah, he had they're saying that they haven't, which is kind of unfortunate. You know, I kind of did want to see because it's all about the physical discs as far as I'm concerned. So I kind of did want to see like a lot of people show up, you know, and have those physical discs in hand. And this was the opportunity, right? You know, this guy gave, and no, I'm not gonna do it myself. Like I as upset as I am about physical discs, I feel like I'm doing my part by running my mouth, right? But I did want to see more, right? This guy, he presented an opportunity of a lifetime uh, to those who are upset about um, the situation, to actually piggyback and do something about it, right? I think he even said it in one of his tweets, like, I can't do this by myself, right? Like, this was because they're so stubborn. Rockstar, Sony, Take Two, like they're so freaking stubborn. Like they just don't want to hear it, right? Not only they don't want to hear it, they disassociate themselves from journalists who write bad about them. Um, they they give us the silent treatment. They give their fans the silent treatment. When they're upset and stuff like that, and their stubbornness has no bounds, and this was a chance to get them on their heels, right? This was a chance to come together behind this brilliant, some call him a criminal, some call him a mastermind, but it was really a chance to get them on their heels and keep them backpedaling all the way into a wall and really you know, let the wrath be felt. Um, that's not exactly what seems to be happening. Um, it's not too late. I'm thinking after this is done, if he never gets caught, some are saying like he's in Russia, which would be kind of like the perfect place for him not to get caught. Um, But after this gets done, he should start doing, um, other games uh, that are going to be on Sony and Microsoft, right? If the gaming community allowed it, this guy could have spearheaded like an actual revolution against these um anti-consumer, um, anti-disc corporations. You know, a lot of them, I mean, as it stands, there's a lot of lawsuits out there already, um, because it's not fair. You know, it's not fair. Like, you can't sell something and then have the right to revoke it. Like, you can't have a subscription style everything, right? And then speaking to EA Sports, you can't have microtransactions outside of the online world. You shouldn't, like, microtransactions arguably shouldn't be a thing on the online worlds. Never mind on the single player worlds, right? Um these people are just absolutely screwing the consumer because they know that they have the power and that there's nothing that the consumer can do. And so then you get this Cyberleek guy who fights back for the consumer, and you know he's not getting enough support on the ground. And I I know he's getting support vis-a-vis the crypto, right? A lot of people are buying the crypto. A lot of people don't like the fact that he's using. Uh, they think that this whole thing is a crypto scheme for him to make money, but he needs money to do what he's doing. And, you know, if everybody expects the rug to get pulled, then they're complacent in what's happening. You can't say you're getting screwed when you know ultimately there is going to be a rug pull. You're just participating in the inevitable, right? Until then, you can take your money out at any time. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you couldn't like predict when that was happening accurately, like that's stocks. Like, that's what it is. Like, you know it's gonna go to essentially zero. So, like, there's no secret there. You know what I mean? Um, but people point to that as like, oh, he's just doing it for the money. He's like a scammer or whatever. It's like, I don't see it like that. I think there is clearly a part of him, his main priority seems to be fighting for consumer rights, and hence the manifesto, and fighting for discs. And Rockstar needs to apologize. Sony needs to apologize. They need to realize the error in their ways, and they need to go back on that decision. And that's just that. I think, as far as I'm concerned, Grand Theft Auto 6 will be the last video game that I ever purchase, unless they make a really good Superman game. Because, I mean, because I don't really play video games that much anymore, anyways. Um, Maybe a little bit here and a little bit there, but it's because it's just getting sickening, like who these people think they are. Um, they've they've ruined the industry, you know. And now some people, they complain, they say, oh well, eh. So they complain about him making money on the crypto, which I've addressed. Some of them complain that a lot of the links for the game builds that he keeps saying that he has, they're viruses and stuff like that. I don't think that's his fault, you know. And it goes hand in hand with the spoilers and the leaks. Like, people are like, oh, you know, we don't want the game spoiled, we've waited this long and stuff like that. And it's like, just don't seek that shit out then, right? Like, why are you concerned that there's malware uh, on links that claim to be game builds if you're not seeking them out and if you're not going to click on them yourself? You know what I mean? So that doesn't really hold water there at all either. Um, you just kind of avoid that, and you'll be okay. Um, so at this point, um, I think Take Two doesn't know. I mean, Take Two and Rockstar, they're fishing, right? They're fishing. Microsoft, they've issued subpoenas. Microsoft, they were all gung ho. They were like, yeah, we'll cooperate with your subpoenas all day long. Yeah, no problem. You know, because I mean they have a vested interest, the same way Sony has a vested interest, right? But Discord, they're kind of saying not so fast. We need to kind of see what the scope of this is going to be ultimately, because you're implicating thousands of our users, and you're going to have unmitigated access to confidential data associated with them, for your witch hunt. And they have a duty. I know corporations usually stick together, but they have a duty to protect their consumers, right? They want thousands of names and email addresses and uh, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just not that's just not right. It's also funny, like they like they're sending private investigators to people's homes. Um, by the way, if like not, and this doesn't just go for like Rockstar or anything like that. It goes for anybody. Like a private investigator has no authority. They have mm, nothing. Like they don't get search warrants themselves. Like you don't have to talk to a private investigator. You don't have to they're nobodies. They're literally nobodies. They're civilians. Um, unless a police officer, uh, unless a badge hands it shows you a search warrant and executes the search themselves, um, you don't have to cooperate with PIs in any capacity, right? Um, I know Homeboy on the video, he was like, "Oh, what is this? A scare tactic?" And he really didn't give too much or whatever. But you don't even have to entertain private investigators. Um, yeah, so Rockstar's calling the leaks heartbreaking for the development team, and who are they blaming? Like I still blame them. I think this is karma. Like you don't you don't do away with if you didn't decide to do away with physical discs, this wouldn't be happening to you. Um, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. Kind of, we'll see how things play out. I know the Netflix release is tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. And it's just a fascinating saga that has kind of captivated gamers' attention and stuff like that. And I thought it was worth taking the episode kind of talk about that a little bit and give my opinion on that whole situation. Um, so yeah, another thing I want to mention real quick, in other news, the Browns decided to start Deshaun Watson over Shador Sanders. I think that's a dumb football decision. I think that was a money decision. And I think that's all it was, is a money decision. You don't have a quarterback shit his pants in preseason, shit his pants in training camp, shit his pants in preseason, shit all over the place, all down his legs, everywhere. Turn around, blame the fans, freaking talk shit about the fans, like, and then start him if you're not paying him $40 million. They're dumb, you know. Shador could make them so much money. Shador could put them on the map, but he'll still be there. He'll get his chance. Like he's in a lot better spot this year than he was last year. People are saying, "Oh, he should leave the Browns" and stuff like that. Um, this is year two out of a 4-year contract, out of a 4-year rookie deal, and so he'll get there. He'll get to start, and I think this will all just be kind of an unfortunate memory. But yeah, no, if Cleveland, and maybe this will help him out in the long run. It gives him more time to develop before he becomes like the official starter. I know he started some games last year. He even won like offensive rookie of the week in one of the weeks. But you know, yeah, I just kind of wanted to touch on that as well. All right. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for existing. Thank you guys for, um, I think existing kind of sums it up pretty well. Um, I'll be back next week, and unless there's a specific topic that I want to engage in outside of the political stance series, we will return to where our political stances lie on various different things. Until then, don't do anything I wouldn't do, and take care of yourselves. Goodbye.